Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So it is, I have no idea what time it is. It's 12:09 and I'm talking after midnight. So, so officially it's Saturday morning and I'm making this video right now because I want to get it uploaded first thing in the morning. And then that way I've got it uploaded. So I'm going to be doing the video on what I'm not fond of in Wisconsin. And also, this will probably be one video. And then in another video, it'll be what I love about Wisconsin. And I'll be explaining some of the stuff and comparing it to what I knew it to be in California. So for those of you that are newer and don't know my background, I am originally from California. I live in Wisconsin now, and I have been here since, what year did I get here, babe? 2003? Yeah, I think it was. So I have been here since the beginning of 2003, and so, and I've never done a video where I've told you what I like about Wisconsin, what I'm not so fond of in Wisconsin. So I thought I'd do that after a little over 20 years. So, all right. So now me being from Wisconsin or from California, so I was born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area. I lived in obviously the Bay Area. I've lived in San Diego. I've lived all over California. I've been all over California, so I know California, except for the last 20, what was it, 23, 22 years that I've been here. And so I don't know. I'm sure it's changed quite a bit since I left. But what I will explain to you when I compare it to California, I'll compare it to what I knew it to be when I was there. So, all right. So this is going to be what I am not fond of in Wisconsin since I've been here. All right. So this might be a lengthy video because I'm going to put a little bit of explanation behind it. And yes, I'm wearing a hat because it is late and my hair is a mess. So you don't want to see my hair. All right. Now, some of you, the first thing is hard rolls. Now, when you watch me bring groceries home, like in Friday's video, I said I was going to get hard rolls. Those rolls I usually get for Glenn because he likes his sandwiches on them. He likes to have his steak sandwiches on them. His everything he likes to have on the hard rolls. And if you go back to some of my videos, you'll see I do hard rolls a lot. So hard rolls is something I never even heard of in California, and I never even had one. What is specific to here in Wisconsin. And it's not to say, now keep in mind, all of these things that I am not fond of in Wisconsin, they are not something. It's not like I hate Wisconsin. These are not like brutal things. And most of these are food and weather. so, so yeah. And so I say it very lightly what I'm not fond of. All right. So the hard rolls in California, I used bread or hamburger buns or hot dog buns. And when I got to Wisconsin and Glenn showed me the hard rolls, I ate it at times, and every now and then I still will eat it. If it comes out of the bakery shop fresh, I'll throw some butter on it, eat it, pop it in the oven, toast it a little bit. But it's not my favorite thing. I never took to hard rolls like he likes it. So I still prefer the bread, hot dog bun, or hamburger bun, not necessarily the hard roll. Because for me, I think they're too bready, and they get dried out very fast. So that's the first thing I'm not fond of. And that leads to the second thing, the style of burgers. The style of burgers here in Wisconsin compared to California is very different. I still love my California burgers. Glenn was raised on the Wisconsin burger. So a Wisconsin burger, you never see a burger here put on a hamburger bun unless it's your fast food places like McDonald's, Burger King, places like that, Wendy's. So otherwise, your burger here is always going to be on a hard roll, and I don't care for that. Your burgers here, when you say the works, it's going to be mustard, ketchup, pickles, and onions. So my California burger, I say my California burger because I prefer a California burger even till today, 22 years later. I prefer a hamburger bun, and mostly I actually like sesame seed buns. I really do. I just never have them here. And in that sense, we tend to buy two different things a lot because I still like things that are the way they were done in California versus here in Wisconsin. So I still prefer a hamburger bun, lettuce, tomato, mayo, ketchup, all that stuff that was normal on a burger in California. I still like it that way. Today, I still like it today. So today or Friday, it's now officially Saturday, but Friday I grilled out restaurant steaks, and we had them on hamburger buns. And even Glenn decided he's okay with the hamburger bun as long as it's not dry. So we did have them on hamburger buns, and I actually cut up some tomato and put some mayo on it, so it's close to my California burger. So I'm not fond of the Wisconsin style burger here. All right, and the next thing is the lack of taco shops. So, and I'm not talking Taco Bell. So when I was in California, when I was in the Navy, I was stationed at Miramar in San Diego, California. There was this taco shop called Roberto's. And it wasn't like a restaurant, like, a normal, like, Mexican restaurant. It was just a taco shop. And they were open late night. So, like, if you work third shift, you can go get some. And it was so nice to have a late night taco shop where you can go get some flautas, which are rolled tacos, tacos or whatever, here. And when I say here, also keep in mind, I'm talking specific to where we live in Wisconsin. We don't live in a big city. So some of these things, like if we were in Milwaukee, we might have some of this stuff, but like taco shops, late night taco shops and things like that. But here where we live, there's nothing like that. We do have Mexican restaurant here where we do get like a burrito, or we do have a couple of taco trucks, but you just we never know when they're going to be there or not. So yeah, I miss those late night taco shops. All right. And here's another thing, the lack of fresh pan dulce. Now, for those of you that don't know what pan dulce is, it is Mexican sweet bread. In California, it was an abundance of it, and because a lot of Mexican places there. The last place I lived in was in the Central Valley of California in Turlock, which is between Fresno and Stockton, about an hour south of Sacramento, I think, about maybe. and right next to Modesto. So I lived in Turlock, and between Modesto and Turlock, there was an abundance of Mexican places. There was a specific place there when I was there in Modesto. It was a Mexican bakery, and they had fresh pan dulce all day long, every single day. They changed it throughout the day. It was always fresh, and it was available to me. Here, not so much. The Mexican place we have here gets pan dulce delivered. They don't actually make it here. It's probably delivered from Milwaukee or something. But by the time they deliver it here, it's like a day old, 2 days old, and it's just not as good. So the closest thing we had to fresh pan dulce, Mexican sweetbread, was in Fond du Lac. And if some of you that have been with the channel for a while remember when we used to go to Fond du Lac, and it was just solely a Mexican bakery shop, and they always had fresh bakery, and we used to go there and get it. And then a couple years ago they closed, and now it's something else. So that was the only option for fresh Mexican bakery. And when I say Mexican sweetbread, I say that very lightly, because Mexican sweetbread is not really that sweet. It doesn't have a lot of sweetness to it. My favorite type were conchas, where you had like the white or the yellow chocolate pink frosting on top. It was kind of egg shaped or rounded, and it was all bready. Those are called conchas, and those were my favorite. And we used to get those all the time fresh in Fond du Lac until they closed, which was so disappointing. So we don't even have any options anymore. So yeah, that's something else I'm not fond of here. All right. The next thing, the taste of produce. So the taste of produce here in Wisconsin is nothing like the taste of produce in California. And again, remember, I'm talking about when I was there. I don't know how it is now. My braid is itching my back. But when I was in California, I lived in the Central Valley and I worked in the Bay Area, so I always had like that commute back to the Central Valley. And along the country road there was always fruit stands. And in these fruit stands, they had cherries, apricots, oranges, strawberries were the big thing. They sold them in these big crates. And the strawberries there were to die for. They were huge, like they were on steroids. The inside of them was dark red. They were juicy and sweet. And no matter when you went to go get them, they were always that way. And it was so delicious. Even like apricots, cherries, so sweet and juicy. And when I got to Wisconsin, from the time I got to Wisconsin to even now, the fruit is bitter. I mean, like the strawberries here, every time we get them, I think we got them good once. There is a strawberry farm not too far from us, and we went there twice. One time we got really good strawberries. They were big, juicy, sweet. The next year they were bitter and white inside. And that's how I find a lot of the strawberries here to be, is just white inside, very tasteless. And same with like oranges, everything here. The produce in general, here in Wisconsin versus California, is very tasteless. So that's another thing. I miss that fruit from California, especially those big strawberries that were juicy and sweet. So, all right. The next thing is weather. So, and specific weather, heat with humidity here in Wisconsin. So in California, so I've been in both kinds of heat. I've been in dry heat and sticky heat. So when I was in California, living in the Central Valley, we had that dry heat. It could be 100 degrees, but it's not sticky, it's just dry, like there's no air to breathe. And over here in Wisconsin, when you get that humidity, it's sticky, it's gross, and I don't like that. I'm not a summer person to begin with, but when you throw in that stickiness, the humidity and all that, it just, oh, I cannot stand that. Now, when I was in California in the midst of summer, and I've been like in different areas of the country where I experienced both plenty of times. Obviously, growing up and living in California, I experienced dry heat a lot. And I've been to Arizona where there's very much dry heat. I've traveled. I used to work on the road, so I traveled to many of the states, and I spent some time in Arizona where it's dry heat, and in the Central Valley it's dry heat. And here in Wisconsin, it's very sticky. But I'll say this, where we live, in the part of Wisconsin we live, we're very fortunate because we don't get that stickiness all the time. Here, most of our summers are very mild, but then we'll get spurts of heat and spurts of humidity with the heat, like that stickiness. But it's not like an everyday thing here. So I'm happy for that. But when it is here, I cannot stand the stickiness, the humidity with that heat. And I've experienced that in other states as well. When I joined the Navy, I went to boot camp in Orlando, Florida in August. Yeah, right in the middle of summer in Orlando, Florida. It was sticky. And when we were lining up at 4 a.m. for breakfast, that stickiness was just hitting you. And also another time in my life when I went to Gulf Shores, Alabama. I worked there for a couple months in the summer with a company, and sticky, really sticky. But there it was normal that it was there all the time. And it was one of those where you wear glasses and you open the door and that glasses, the stickiness just fogs up your glasses. So yes, I hate the stickiness. So here we're in Wisconsin, you get the stickiness, the humidity with the heat, and not fond of it. Not fond of summer to begin with, but not fond of that humidity. So I'm glad it's not an everyday thing here in the summer. But when it's here, forget it. I'll be in the house where it's cool. So, so that's one thing about weather I'm not fond of. The other thing is black ice. Ice in general is dangerous, but black ice is very dangerous. And in my first spring here, the first year I got here, in the spring, I got here in winter. I got here in January of 2003. And in springtime, we went for a drive. He was showing me lakes, and we were driving, and we hit a patch of black ice, and we lost control of the truck. Luckily, that patch was was a small patch. We almost went into the ditch, but we were able to, I think we were able to get control of the truck. I don't know what happened, but we lost control and then we regained it. So we were very fortunate. God was watching over us, but black ice is dangerous. Ice in general is dangerous, but black ice, it's stuff on the road you cannot see, and it's killed many of people. And it's just, yeah. So the thought of black ice, I'm glad that we don't drive a lot in, well, we don't drive. I drive in winter to run errands, but we don't go anywhere in the winter. So black ice would be the other weather thing. The other one is the tornado siren. I had never heard a tornado siren until I got to Wisconsin. And for me personally, that is one of the most eerie sounds I've ever heard. And it's frightening. So that I'm not too fond of, because you know what's coming after that. But again, where we live here in Wisconsin, in our part where we live, we're very fortunate, because usually the tornadoes disperse and break off, and by the time they get to our area. We live about 10 minutes from Lake Michigan, and sometimes if it's coming from the direction of the lake, it'll break off while it's over the lake before it hits us. So we've been very fortunate. We've had the siren, I don't know how many times since I've been here, but we've never actually had a tornado in our direct area. They have hit in the outskirts of the town, but in our direct area, we've been very fortunate not to be hit with the tornado. So that tornado sound, not something I'm fond of, but to the flip side of that, I'm glad there's a warning. So, and also to the flip side of that, in California, you deal with earthquakes. So it's not that it was better in California because you have earthquakes in California with no warning whatsoever. It just happens. And unless you have animals, the animals might alert you, and most likely they will. So I've experienced earthquakes before. I don't know how many I was in, but I was in a few earthquakes. And the big one in the 90s, I think it was during, I think, the World Series of the Oakland A's and San Francisco Giants, and there was a big earthquake. I actually was driving back from the San Francisco Bay Area because I was visiting my family. I lived in San Diego, so I actually was driving back to San Diego when it happened. And by the time I got to my home in San Diego, that's when I heard there was just a huge earthquake in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I couldn't get a hold of my family right away. All the lines were down, but thank God I was finally able to get a hold of them and everybody was okay. But the earthquakes are a scary thing. There was this one earthquake. It was 4:30 in the morning, and we were sleeping. We had parakeets, and all of a sudden we heard the parakeets going nuts in their bird cage. We had like 3 of them maybe, and they were just going nuts at 4:30 in the morning. And we just said something's about to happen. And sure enough, 3 seconds later, the earth starts moving. The earth is shaking. So, scary thing. I don't think there's one worse than the other. Tornado, earthquake, hurricane, they're all natural disasters and they're all scary. So, but I've never experienced a tornado siren until I got here, and a very eerie feeling for me. So, the next thing, the roads. The roads are horrible here, and you've heard me say that on a video before. I think while I'm driving to the food pantry, the roads are horrible here. And I don't know, it's been 22 years since I've been to California. I don't know how the roads are now, But when I was there, I can't say I remember how the roads were, but I know they're horrible here. So, all right. So the last thing is a food thing, and this is something I had in California that we don't have here. Is In-N-Out Burger. I miss In-N-Out Burger like crazy, and I'm not saying they're as good as they used to be when I was there prior to 2003. But from what I remember, I I know I loved In-N-Out Burger. I used to get the double double. And their menu, one thing is their menu was so simple. It just was, and I don't know how their menu is now. They could have added a bunch more stuff, but their menu consisted of hamburger, cheeseburger, double double. Um, I think that's all for the burgers. I don't remember, but it was French fries. They might have offered onion rings, a soda, or a shake. That's it. There was not all these different things that you add to a menu, but I miss In-N-Out Burger how I knew it to be. The last time I had it was when I went back to California in 2014, I think it was. Yeah, I think oh, was it 2014? I don't remember. I went to California when my dad was in the hospital, and we thought he was going to pass at that time, and I really needed to go. At that time, we still had a relationship with Glenn's family, so his brother-in-law came to check on him, and so that was taken care of. So I did go home, or to California, where my home, that was my home. I consider Wisconsin my home now. My hometown where I grew up is in California, but this is here in Wisconsin. This is my home now. So, but I miss In-N-Out, going back to In-N-Out. See how I just get off track and start talking about other things. But I miss In-N-Out, and I don't know how they are now, but I watched a video on YouTube not too long ago, and he was eating all kinds of stuff from, testing all kinds of stuff from In-N-Out. And I never even heard of that stuff. And if that's the way they are now, I probably would be very disappointed if I ever had In-N-Out again. So, and the other thing, the last thing that I'm not fond of in Wisconsin is no Krispy Kreme donuts. If you've ever had Krispy Kreme donuts, you know what I'm talking about. So soft. Now, there is a Krispy Kreme donuts in Milwaukee. We are not near Milwaukee, nor would we even, we don't drive to Milwaukee or through Milwaukee if we don't have to. Not our favorite place to drive near. But that's the nearest, and I think it's the only Krispy Kreme in Wisconsin is in Milwaukee. So when I was in California in Turlock, next to Modesto, Modesto had a Krispy Kreme donut shop. And we used to go there, and you could watch the donuts come off the rollers. And if you went in there, they'd give you a free sample every single time of a glazed, fresh glazed donut. And it was so good, so soft. You could just like fold it all and just put it in your mouth. So, I don't know how they are now, but back then they were so good. And so, no Krispy Kreme here or In-N-Out. But those are the things, and as you can see by my list, they're not horrible things, and it's not that I really, I don't hate Wisconsin, otherwise I probably wouldn't be here. But those are the things that I'm not so fond of in Wisconsin. So they're very light things, except maybe the tornado. um, so that is my simple list of things I'm not fond of in Wisconsin. And in another video, I'm going to tell you what I love about Wisconsin. So that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch my videos. I appreciate all of you and the support you give my channel. And with that, remember to live life, be good to yourself, and be good to others. Until next time.